Hey everybody, so here we are, another live question and answer. The pressure is on. We're just coming off a heat wave, 5-6 days, over 100 degrees temperature, and the humidity, forget about it, man. We are boiling here. We're like the lobsters, the New England lobsters. You know, Maine has it on their license plate of red lobster, and they've actually gotten a little bit of grief over that, Patrick, but we won't get into that. But you know, people wonder, why don't they show a live lobster? Why do they show cooked lobster? Well, I feel right now like a cooked lobster. But it's funny with the heat. I either go one or two ways. I really get tired, or I just get so hyped up and I just fight through the heat and get work done. The shop's got air conditioning, but it's still hot. I mean, we have air conditioning in this, where we are in the studio now, but you can still feel the heat. And sometimes that's a good thing. It got me really, my blood boiling a little bit on waste and how I can help upholsterers. We were talking before we started here, how I can help upholsterers, you know, be more successful. And I really do hate to see somebody stumble on the non, you know, people can be the best upholsterer in the world, and then they stumble on the finished stuff. And I want to help you a little bit today if you already haven't figured it out. But I've been having experiences lately, you know, with hearing about, you know, what's happening out there with other people, other upholsterers, and I know that they're just like one or two clicks away from really getting it down really good. So I'm going to try to help today. But before we do that, I want to just get some business taken care of. We're really close to the 20,000 subscribers. You know, you guys, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please. We're almost at the. It seems like it's taken us forever to get to 20,000. I don't know. Maybe because we're looking at it more because of the number. It's probably what it is. But if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's what kind of gives us. It's a litmus test of sorts when we're trying to judge if this is worth doing. You know, are people watching? How many people are watching? Is it worth doing? I definitely think it's worth doing. I've heard today, Patrick, something very interesting. A person who really didn't know us wanted to find out who was one of the best upholsterers in New England, and guess what just kept coming up? YouTube with our YouTube station. So is YouTube worth it? If you're an upholsterer, you want to start your own YouTube, hey, you know, go ahead and do it. I think it's definitely worth it, but we need to continue the success. It's not like you cannot rest on your laurels. You really can't do that. It's like the longest football game or baseball game you're going to be in if you want to do the analogy of sports. But it's like every day you have to pay attention. Today I spent all my day going over my paperwork and my customers and where my fabrics are, where my work orders are, where my labor jobs are, when do I have to pick things up, is she happy, is she not happy, do I do follow-up? Yeah, of course. Well, how do you like your furniture, things like that. I mean, there's so many things. That's the customer service end of things, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. You cannot rely on technology, but I'll get to that in a little while. But anyhow, so we're close. We're at, what's the number on the subscribers, Patrick?
19,500.
Oh, it's at 500?
No, I'm just rounding up.
We've been rounding off to 20,000. That's why it seems like it takes forever. So we definitely are 500 away from the 20,000. Okay, and we don't get anything, huh? I asked you that, right?
Yeah.
We get a T-shirt? No?
Nothing.
More satisfaction.
I mean, that took us 10 years to get 20,000, Patrick.
Yeah.
So just
We were active though the first.
my take on that is what we're offering is, I think, it's very of substance. What we're offering is very full of substance, and it's a very focused. I mean, when you look at the whole world, I mean, I know a guy's out there in the YouTube, and he takes pictures of trains, different places, and he adds a lot of interest. Believe it or not, just trains. He has a lot of subscribers, but I think it's more of a broader interest, right? So when you have a narrow interest like we do, I think 20,000 represents a lot more, don't you, Patrick?
Well, yeah.
In the way of I don't know if you're following what I'm saying.
Yeah, picture 20,000 people standing there.
That's a hockey game, right?
Yeah.
Hockey game, usually an indoor hockey game, professional hockey game holds 20,000, right? 20 or 30,000. You're right, Patrick. Am I being greedy? Do you think 20,000 is good?
I'd take 20. I'm just happy we have some.
You would take only 20. I like that attitude. Patrick's got a good attitude. Patrick has a good sense of this because he's younger and he's more in tune with it. I'm always looking at the numbers and waiting for the 20 and when's the 40 going to happen? That's crazy. But anyhow, that's just me. Is there any other business? Jimmy is not here today. Jimmy is working on, this is an update on the online classes. Jimmy's working on a wing chair. He's stripping it down before he brings it so that we don't bore you with the first 2 classes of Jimmy stripping the furniture down, because our feeling is that we have other online classes that show that, right, Patrick?
Yeah, we
So our feeling is that we'll give you even more good content on those online classes. So hopefully that will help. But the wing chair, he's working on that. We're going to start that next week in earnest. So I think by the time the winter time rolls around, we'll be seeing that, Patrick?
The fall for his, what was it, the shell back,
Yeah, but I'm talking about the wing back
wing back.
that he hasn't even started.
Yeah, I'd say late winter. Depends how long I forget how many classes that shell back is. I think it was, what, 13 or something?
So has that gone up yet?
No, that'll be the fall. That one's the fall.
So what's up now? Is there anything current right now? Or?
Well, the settee is still there. I consider that current.
Okay. I'm sure people will be asking. So don't worry, you guys. The online classes, if you're a subscriber, you're definitely going to get your value. And I think that Janine keeps telling us that the value she sees in the online classes, right, Patrick, and other people have taken the online classes.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, so Jimmy's not here to ask about the Facebook and how many people on Facebook, but at last count, we want to make sure people know that they can go on Facebook, the Broadway Upholstery School on Facebook, and they can really get some good help. That was designed where I would be asking or answering most of the questions, Patrick, but I find that our people on there are very generous with their knowledge, and oftentimes I don't even have to pipe in. And I appreciate that, really. It gives me one less thing to do, right, Pat?
Yeah, of course.
So that's good. That's moving along. Jimmy keeps on. Has Jimmy okayed? He's been on vacation. He's still been okaying people on vacation?
I think so. I went on there, I saw somebody, and then it was gone.
Okay.
A few minutes later, so I think he's still
Okay, good.
doing
He's
it.
really on top of his game that way. So I think that's the business. Later on, we'll get to the segment with Michaela on pricing. And pricing is a huge thing. I was talking to a customer today. Michaela, you'd appreciate this. Patrick, you would too, right? She was a Navy brat, and she lives in nearby the shop. And she came in with the project, and she purchased some fabric. And she was talking about how her mother, they lived in Southern California when her father was in the Navy. Her mother used to take a van full of furniture down to Tijuana, Mexico to get upholstered, Patrick.
Wow.
And it was like really dirt cheap. And she only remembered having new furniture her whole life growing up because of it. So I congratulated her mother on the fact that a lot of people don't realize that if they were to have a van or rent a van and then just left their geographical area, their demographics, let's say they live in a major city and they want to save money, they certainly could. That's still true today, even though I don't think you're going to get as good of a deal as in Tijuana. But I think that obviously cost of living in areas determines how much you can get as an upholsterer for your labor. So let's put that on. Sorry,
Is it
guys.
for Michaela?
No. So let's get right to the YouTube. We don't have many YouTubes. We have 4. We have one from Fixing a Pop Button, Patrick. That's the favorite one.
Yeah. At least one a week.
Thanks, true master of your craft, sir. Well, thank you for that compliment. That's from X-File Productions. X-File, Patrick. How's that music go?
I forget. I never was into that show.
I wasn't really either.
Michaela was.
No, my dad was. I never watched it.
You know what we had a class once, and you know, when you have 12 people taking a class, I used to have 12 people at a time, you guys, taking a class. And everybody had problems with their thing, and I would come along and, you know, fix
You
it.
might have 12 again.
They started calling me MacGyver. Do you know who MacGyver is, Patrick?
I don't know, McGruber.
Who's a McGruber?
Remember from SNL?
No, this is MacGyver, not McGruber or Goober or whatever you're saying. MacGyver was a detective, and he was a Mr. Fix-It guy, see? Anyhow, you got to Google that, you guys. I guess most people won't know who he is. Think Professor Gadget. Remember that cartoon guy? Was it Professor Gadget? Is that his name, Michaela? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Inspector
I do.
Gadget.
Inspector
Inspector
Gadget.
Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. Remember his little briefcase full of things?
Hey, Lucas. Haven't seen Lucas in a while.
Yeah, Lucas, where you been? Making rollover arm caps, Janice. You made it very clear what I was overthinking. Thank you. So that's interesting comment. You know, sometimes we can overthink things. Sometimes you just have to let it go. I remember one time when I was learning, I asked this upholsterer, you know, another question. Probably we had like a 2 or 3 question limit in the shop that was unwritten, you know, unwritten rule. And then when you get to when you exceeded your questions, he would usually say, "Well, what do you think?" and just not say anything else. So you were left, you know, kind of figuring it out on your own. So that's where the problem solving comes in. You know, at some point you're going to be on your own with this furniture, and you don't have the questions. You guys are lucky that you have somebody to go to ask questions. I mean, I can't stop and answer everything. I could do it in the context of this question and answer, which is what this is designed for. But you have a lot more resources to go to with YouTube, specifically YouTube, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
Than I ever would have dreamed of. I mean, if I was working in my as an apprentice, and I could go home at night and Google and find answers to the projects that are being worked on that day, come in the next day and almost know exactly what to do, I would have looked like a genius. And you guys are very lucky. And I know people are watching, Patrick, and they're doing the exact same thing I just said, right?
Yeah.
So we're helping people on the job, which is great. We're helping them advance their career. We help people. Remember the call we got from the woman with the 2 children? She was a single mom, and she supplemented her income with the YouTube videos.
Oh, that's very cool.
Wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
So we're helping people, right? Now this is how to make double piping. This is from Craig. I think Craig, he's been on here before, Montefort, Patrick. He's been around. He's posted a few things. Let's see what he says. Thank you for the videos and advice. I've owned many boats and vintage automobiles throughout my life, and about 25 years ago I began sewing on an industrial strength walking foot machine. Not as much to save money, but more to be better capable of meeting my personal deadlines and improving my quality control at the time I kept my vessels in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland and a small waterfront community. We had 2 upholstery shops that did nice work, but were always behind schedule. I love the hobby and have done quite a few boat interiors and vintage sports cars. It's nice to have these tutorials to improve my skills and understand the better ways. What I find interesting, Patrick, is we're not showing upholstery. We're not showing the type of work that he does yet. He's able to take some of the skills that he learns from us and applies it to what he does.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So that's a really good compliment. Of course, you know, Craig has you could tell he's skillful with 25 years of experience.
Lucas says, sorry I've been busy with the shop lately. I've been doing more wood restoration work.
That's good.
I bought a house in the countryside and we're moving soon. I'm going to have a huge upholstery workshop.
Wow.
Pretty cool. I'm jealous.
Congratulations.
The house in the countryside, that's what I want.
Congratulations, Lucas. Really. Congratulations.
And I'm sure you're jealous of the huge upholstery shop. That sounds
Yeah, you know, if I could
sounds
design,
nice.
if you could design your own shop, man, you're much better off. You're more productive, you know. So we are on the video applying trim to French chairs. Lori says, so grateful for your expertise. Your videos are helping so much. Way down here in the great estate of Georgia, laugh out loud. I told you guys, I knew a guy that thought laugh out loud was love a lot. He thought LOL meant love a lot, right?
The Jimmy?
No, but it was a guy who, in the beginning of texting or emailing, so he thought LOL was love a lot. So he got an email from his daughter. The daughter said something like, "I sprained my ankle. I'm really hurting," and he said, "LOL, love a lot." The daughter said, "Dad, I'm really hurting. I'm really in pain." And he wrote, "LOL, LOL."
Jeez.
Oh, and then he finally realized, the daughter finally had to tell him, what do you think LOL means? Oh, well. So this brings us to the Facebook. Mona has a really good question. I'm just going to hold this
Yeah,
up.
make sure you show that.
There's a chair and an ottoman that she did. Well, let's read it. I'm not sure where she's at on it. So she says, "Hello, I would welcome your input. I am not as quick as others, and I am a bit of a perfectionist. So yeah, it takes me longer. And I know I do a good job, but I struggle with pricing. What would you charge for labor only on this set? I'm in Kentucky. And where are you? I'm guessing 10 yards without much pattern. Your thoughts? Client will be purchasing fabric from me as well. Oh, what types of a chair would you call this? Simply a side chair? So here's the first tip, right, Mona? I don't consider that a side chair. I would call that, and this is tied into pricing, and it's not being deceitful. It's simply not a side chair. It's a fully upholstered chair. That's what I would call it. You don't have to classify it. I mean, it's got these Queen Anne spoon legs. You could say that if you want to make it fancy it up. So if you're writing out an invoice, so let's go over here, you guys. So I wanted to get to the specifics of what I'm doing here, but for Mona, I would say, customer's name up here. Best contact. And I always ask, is it a cell phone? Cell phone is the best contact, 555-1212. Why is a cell phone the best contact? Assuming that you have text messaging. Text messaging it's not the final, and it's not the only way to communicate, but it's a good way to communicate. It's one of the ways of communication that's good, because it can set a record of what you're talking with your client, especially in the beginning of the conversation. At some point you're going to meet him or her, but it's always good. So I always ask name. Believe it or not, sometimes I don't ask for address because I don't want that as a distraction in the beginning. I hate to say this, and I know that it sounds a little silly, but addresses make a difference if you're going to offer, if you're getting close to losing a job and you're going to offer some little tidbit. The address is important later on. I usually save it, and I do this almost instinctively, and it's not because I'm just leaving that bit of information out. Okay, trust me on this one, you guys. So later on, once the total, you get a total down here, right? And there's a hesitation. What else can you offer? I usually say, well, where do you live? And they'll say maybe Lexington. That's Lexington, Massachusetts. And I says, well, I can offer you free pickup and delivery because from the shop, I live about 24 miles out. So in any, when you spray it like this from the shop, outside from the shop, I'm heading west, northwest, west, and southwest. I can offer free pickup and delivery because it's on my way home. I'm not going to lose a lot of money doing that. That's why I leave the address out till later. Now, if they say the opposite direction or way out of my way, I would have to charge a little extra, and that's probably not a good idea over here when you get to this total to start adding on for pickup and delivery. So you try to take it easy. I hope you guys are following what I'm trying to say, but let's get back to Mona. So let's leave that like that. So if she uses the word side chair, less money. Side chair, less money. It's not a side chair. Okay, so let's get that straight, right? So she has quantity. I usually have quantity over here. one fully upholstered chair, all handwritten, you guys. This is one of the points I wanted to bring up today. Don't rely on your technology, and don't think about your polish right now. If you guys want to do your polishing and your invoices later on with your nice letterheads, you're proud of that, that's fine. You know, if she wants to do the Mona Upholstery Experience, or whatever her name of her shop is, with, you know, fleur-de-lis and whatever. Save that for later. You're talking to the customer now, and you want to make sure you get all the information and you're working up an estimate. This is important. By the way, you don't want to be called, can I call you back and figure this out? You need to show that you're an expert right off the bat. It doesn't matter that you're good. I mean, you could be the best upholsterer in the world. If you can't communicate with your customer about pricing or about name, make sure, and I'm not picking on you, Mona, but if you said side share, you're about $200 less on this than you should be. That's what it translates into, really. So if you're thinking of it as a side chair, you might think of it as an easier job. It isn't. It's a fully upholstered chair. It has a loose cushion, has a seat, inside arms, outside arm, inside back, outside back, single pipe, double piping, cambric on the bottom. It's a lot of work. So one fully upholstered chair. Okay? I'm going to put up here, this is labor. And then over here, I'm just going to write Boston dollars. Okay, this is Boston pricing. Okay, Boston pricing. And then let's just finish up. Oh, then one ottoman. That's certainly an ottoman. Before I get to pricing, because as soon as you start talking about pricing, customers have a million questions. But before you get to that, keep talking about the sofa. You have a throw pillow in there too. That, well, keep talking about. Do you want any changes? And they will say, what does that mean? What type of changes? Usually, that's what they say. Well, you could do it exactly like it is, which is a real traditional way, or you can add a skirt on it, even over the wood if you wanted to. But most people don't do that now. So most of the times, I'm writing no style change. Try to resist having printed out statements, because I find that with printed out statements, you guys, you would leave things out when you're talking to the customer because you're relying on your printout. You're relying on your printed statement. I get a blank statement like this when I'm talking to a customer, and I'm filling all this in. Very important. The date, I don't even put in terms because that can vary, and that gets confusing. Date, customer's name, phone, best contact, cell phone usually, and then all your details here. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. One fully upholstered chair, no style changes, and then same as above, meaning no style changes. So we got, any questions for now on, Patrick? Or we keep it just, okay.
Lucas says thank you.
Sometimes right here, I will say, this is pretty obvious. I would say note buttons. If it says no changes, I'll tell you why I do that. So I'll put a little asterisk here, buttons. Keep buttons, okay? Why do I do that? You have a picture. Why do you do that? The customer knows it has buttons. Well, when you take this apart and you clip the buttons and you come back next week to it, you might have forgotten that there were buttons in it. And referencing a photograph is a good idea, but nothing beats writing it down. So right now I'm really satisfied with all my instructions. It's simple, you guys, really, but you'd be surprised at just how many things get lost in detail here, okay? So then I would be asking the customer, well, do you want these throw pillows? Sometimes when you give a price, they send you a picture, they assume your pricing includes labor on 2 pillows and the yardages to go with it. So you need to ask that. Okay, the customer wants a pillow and the bolster. There's a 1 pillow. Let's say as is. 1 bolster. As is. And then what I do is I kind of bracket these together. Because sometimes people want a different fabric on those two. So what I'll do is I'll bracket those together and figure out the yardages. There's a little ruffled that takes more yardage. So I separate it out. Never do it including in here because it's still labor for you, right? So now we're gonna figure yardage. So what I do is I circle all my yardage. All my yardage gets circled. I round it off. Try not to go half yards. So what I'm gonna do is fully upholstered chair. I'm gonna look at this. If you guys have seen my other videos, and if you guys want to know how to estimate on yardage, look at the cushion's going to be 2 yards, the seat's going to be 3, inside arms 4, outside arms 5, inside back 6. Probably can get 7 yards over here. Circle, okay? Why do I circle the number? Because that's a very important number, and I usually put YDS. So I do a lot of abbreviations because I want to get all my information on one page. So then we have the ottoman is going to be, I'm looking at this, how many yards? You guys, I'd say 2 yards. And then my pillow, as is with the bolster. My pillow, another one, maybe 2 yards, a yard each, 2 yards. Why do I separate that? Well, they might want a different fabric in that. Who knows? I don't know yet. I mean, of course, if I'm talking to the customer, which I'm not right now, this is for your benefit, but I don't know, I would be getting all this information, and all this information would be getting down here, right? You'd be surprised how much gets lost, because I'm really adamant about this today. I hate to see waste. I hate to see people fail. I hate to see, this business doesn't have to be miserable. I'll tell you when it gets miserable is when you start putting fabric on the wrong piece, when you don't have enough fabric, when you lose fabric, when you lose a chair, when you lose things like that. It make you miserable. So this can streamline you. This can help you out. This can keep you honest. All that. I'm hoping to help you guys. Mona, I don't know how busy you are, but if you're a shop, it doesn't look like she's extremely busy, but you could take the time to do this, and then maybe take the time, like I said, later, when you're presenting the estimate, you can make sure that you have a nice statement. But I use my handwritten estimates for all my things. Ask the guys, right? Patrick, we only
I was wondering
polish.
why, but if it works,
We were starting to polish on insurance estimates. Some people call us for insurance estimates. Why don't you tell people how that went?
That didn't. Never got anything out of it.
Yeah, nobody pays. Nobody wants to pay you for drawing up a beautiful estimate.
Yeah.
It's a hard time getting people to pay us even for an estimate. So we don't do that anymore. This is enough for us. So look at all the information we have on here already. So we're almost there. So now we need to do pricing. And up here I'm going to put my Boston prices, one fully upholstered chair. Just to let you know, on a fully upholstered chair, usually I get $1,100 for, but on this one here, because even though it's a fully upholstered chair, I can go a little bit better on it. So I'd say, and this is determined, you guys. This is determined on how busy I am at the time I'm writing the estimate. Okay, right now we have a lot of pending stuff. There's a lot of people away. We're about 2 or 3 weeks behind in our work. So I might go a little easier on this if this was my estimate. So I'd be going, okay, $990. Right? Sometimes when you keep it under $1,000, it's just the psychology there. That sounds a lot better than $1,050, doesn't it?
Catch you up here.
For a client, right? What?
Lucas has a question.
Okay.
Nana Beth says hello.
Hello, guys.
Dropped in. Can't believe I never thought of all these details. So that's good.
Yeah.
Lucas said, I actually have a question for Kevin. I got an account with a fabric supplier who does a very high-end wool fabrics. What is the average markup on a fabric when selling it to a customer on a project?
That's Michaela's. Michaela can answer that. So what is it, Michaela? What's your markup?
Well, we mark it up 100%.
Yeah.
So what we spend, we get back in terms of if it costs $50 for wholesale, it will cost them $100 retail.
Yep. Sometimes 100% wools can be expensive, right, Michaela?
Oh yeah.
So sometimes the you resist. The temptation is, if somebody's doing a sofa in 20 yards of fabric, and they have an expensive fabric, sometimes you should never assume that somebody can't afford something, first of all. But the temptation is to give them 20% off the bat. Don't do that. I mean, you're in business to make money too. And some of these jobs can help you with some of the jobs that you might have lost money on, and we all do that. So you want to go back over here, Michaela?
Yep.
And the ottoman, you guys, I'm going to say, now in the ottoman, now here's an interesting thing. When you have a set, right, you have a chair and an ottoman. If somebody brought me the ottoman by itself, I'd be getting $425. But because she's doing this, sometimes I give them a little bit of a break on that, and depending on how busy I am. So right now, I'd say $325. Okay? Now the pillow, as is, we're going to reuse. I'd be asking. Well, one question I said, you have to ask: is the filling okay? You see this, Mona? All the filling in this looks good. You got to now you at this stage of the estimate, you want to try to be a good friend to your client and try to save them money. This is what I do. I don't like changing out filling if it doesn't need it, and the reason is the environment. I usually will mention that. I said, if we can reuse the filling, first I'll say, are you happy with it? Yes, it's nice, but the filling hasn't been changed. Well, sometimes it doesn't need to be changed. So oftentimes I'll say, you don't have to redo the filling. So, but make sure that gets on here. That's very important. So down here, I usually go with the important stuff, asterisks. I say, reuse all filling. And then people usually say, well, what if it needs something? Well, we can add something like Dacron. You could add a layer of Dacron. That's not gonna bite into your budget that much, and you could just, that's one of the freebies. You could say, well, we'll just include that in there. We'll just do that. You don't even have to write that down unless you want to, because it looks better. So now I'm nearing the end of the discussion. Let's work out the pillow as is, 125. 125 for the other one. Michaela, can you get out your calculator and just get the total on this? 990 plus 325 plus 250.
1,565.
That's the total on the labor. Labor, not the fabric. The fabric's another. So let's say Mrs. Jones, this is where usually Michaela comes in and starts to help, but Michaela could tell you, I do this faster than what I'm showing you. I mean, get the information down, get the price down, get the yardage amounts down, get all the information down, and then at that point, the customer could say, well, this is too much. That's fine. So then it goes in, estimate. I put estimate up at the top, and that goes in a different file. That goes in a dead file usually. Well, not right away. Doesn't usually go right into the dead file, right, Michaela? It goes to the back of the folder first. About a month goes by. You guys, really, so important. Let's get to option A. Too much money. I have to think about it. That usually means they're walking. I have to think about it. 50% chance they'll come back, but don't give up on it. Okay, but don't waste any more time. At that point, you got all your information, you're polite, thank you very much, thank you for allowing me to give you an estimate, and usually that will, Michaela, right? That will end it. I've had people at this point, when they say, I have to think about it, say to me, well, let me look at fabric while I'm here. Why? No, I'd rather have you think about the cost, the total cost, because that could just waste time. We're not in the business to waste time either, right, you guys? You're not in the business to waste time. So, okay, so Mrs. Jones, she's uncertain, so she walks, or she leaves that day. You take this estimate, which is dated 7/26/22, and you put it in the back of your active list folder, but you put it in the back. I have a separate little compartment for that. And then hopefully she calls back for this part, the fabric part. But let's say after a month, less than a month, usually it's 3 weeks, I have a real sense of when to call somebody. So she gets a call or a text. What's better, call or text at that point, Michaela?
Call.
Call. She knows me enough. So I call, get the personal touch in there, the job's not lost yet. Ask them, how can I help you? Where are you at with the job? And sometimes you get, well, I went somewhere else. Fine, okay, thank you very much for your time or whatever. Or, can you do any better than that? No, I can't really, I'm sorry. You said it nicely, not like I just did. I'm doing that for your benefit, you guys. You be polite. Say, no, I'm really think my pricing is fair on this particular job. Honestly, we're about 2 or 3 weeks out, and I took it easy on you. I could probably gave you 10 to 15% off already. And then they'll say, oh, well, I appreciate that. They'll either walk at that point or come back. That's difficult. That's for them to decide. So let's say option B is that the customers, you give them this total on the labor, and they're not running away at that point. So then now it's the fabric, which is a very tricky part of this whole thing. So I'll still be involved a little bit in this. I'll say, okay, your total, do you want to do everything together? Usually that's a yes. And then you total your fabric out 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yards. You need 11 yards. Total is what I'll put down. And then oftentimes I'll go to a second invoice for the fabric, okay? So the second, so fabrics. Okay, Mona, let's see, does she have a question? She said 10 yards, so we're guessing 11 yards with the throw pillows. Okay, Mona, don't shortchange yourself. The 11 yards, keep in mind, I think, is a very close estimate, and depending on, I don't know what she's picking for a pattern, but this one here has a very large pattern. If she's picking an upholstery, this is based on upholstery fabric, you guys, not 36-inch repeated drapery fabric. Now, what's the difference between drapery and upholstery fabric? You guys know that upholstery fabric's thicker and all that, but it's usually woven, and usually they're restricted to how big repeats they have. Usually the biggest repeat I see is probably 15-inch repeat on upholstery fabric. Doesn't even play into this number. 15-inch up to a 15, so you could say 11 yards, solid up to a 15-inch repeat, you're covered. But it's still, for your customer, you could say things like, I'm trying to work with, not over-ordering on your fabric. Be your customer's friend. Try to help out. Remember, you're competing with the manufacturers who are getting labor for nothing. Let's face it, you guys, there's a lot of slave labor in the world. They're getting their labor for nothing. And you're competing with that. You have to compete with that. You have to, even though you might have high-end furniture, you're still competing with the mindset from the manufacturers that set you up. And it's hard. It's not easy to convince somebody to do a chair for $9.90 when they can go to IKEA and get it for $300. Now that's what you're fighting against, and you haven't even gotten to the fabric end of things. So you're talking to your clients, and then you need to know your furniture. What makes this furniture worth doing? So, well, comparing your chair to an IKEA chair is really not fair. Your chair is more of a design chair. Your chair is a Henderson. Your chair is a Baker chair. Baker chairs they get $4,200 for. So you're going to be well below, even with the 7 yards. You pick something $100 a yard. 700 times $990, $1,700. You're still well below that price. You have to be this good. You have to have the information. You have to be quick, and you have to be thorough. Your customer wants all this. They don't want a sales job either. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get as much information to you guys as possible. Use your personality to your advantage. You've worked hard. You've worked hard in an upholstery shop. You worked long hours. You deserve. Mona deserves to get paid. Now she's got another question in here. The question is, she's saying she's slow. So how should she price? This is how I price. How should Mona price? She's asking me. That's a loaded question because she's in. I'm going to erase all this. Should I erase all this? Let's just erase the labor part of it. Okay. Let's erase the whole labor part of it. Okay, come down. It's a situation thing. It's a situational thing. Mona, is this a hobby? Is this an upholstery shop? I don't know any of that. But let's assume. Well, let's first concentrate on her, what she can get for labor. Let's just look at this straight industry labor. Okay, so these prices that I gave you, $9.90, is based on $80 an hour. Michaela, can you divide 80 into $9.90? What is that? $9.90.
12.375.
Okay, it comes down, you guys. 12.375
Yep.
hours. Okay, that's my time to do this chair. 12 hours to fully upholster this chair, to strip it, to cut it out, to upholster it down to the piping. For me, forget about the throw pillows for now. I'm just talking about the seat cushion. 12.3 hours. I gave an estimate of $325. Can you divide 80 into $325? $80 is my shop time per hour, you guys. $80. 80 into $325.
4.0625.
Let's just say 4.0. The pillows, I got $250. 80 into $250.
$3.125.
Let's just say 3 point, right? Let's just make this 12. 12, 16, 17, 18, 19 hours. 19 total hours. What happens, you guys, if I go over that? I lose money, right? What happens if I make a mistake, I cut the wrong thing, I lose money. So this is where your repetitive professionalism, this is where your work, this is your labor, this is where your cumulative knowledge comes into play. This is me at 40 years into the industry, right? That 19. Don't think that you're slow, Mona, at this. Look at this. Now you have to adjust what you want to get paid. Let's say you're double over this. Let's say you're 40 hours. And what's 80 times 40? Michaela, 80 times 40.
3,200.
All right, Michaela has to ask herself, Mona has to ask herself, what's that number again?
3,200.
Okay, she has to ask herself, if she's twice as slow as I am, or if I'm half her hours to get the 19 hours, to get the bottom line, I can't remember what for me was, at 19 hours, and she's at double the amount of hours. Can she get $3,200 for this job in Kentucky where she is? That's another factor, right? In Kentucky, that is a factor. The answer to me would be no, right? We're just talking labor. We're not into the fabrics. So Mona, you have to determine what you're comfortable with your shop time based on your experience. It has to be based on your experience, because the customer, when they're coming to me, they're paying. They're saving money and they're paying for my experience. So the combination of the two makes me a busy person. But nobody's going to pay $3,200, I don't think, unless you associate, unless you're famous or something. I don't know, you're a famous designer or something. So you need to think about that. I hope you understand that. So let's get to the fabric now. So we talked about, Lucas asked how much the upcharge is. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yards times the average price on fabric. Now we're getting a little messy, sorry. Is $80.
Why don't you erase it and start over?
Should we?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about
Look at that board.
Are we getting any
Give me a
comments?
headache.
Any comments, you guys? I'm going crazy today. I'll tell you why, because I just can't stand when people lose money, and they don't have to lose money. I want the industry to do well.
I don't know how you go from a show with Jimmy to a show like this. It's two completely different shows.
Well, Jimmy's not here, so give me a chance. So the average fabric, design fabric, is $80 a yard today.
I
And
feel like I'm in class right now.
I have a hard time.
I feel like I'm back in college.
With that $80 a yard. Because when I first started in the business in 1976, the average price was $12 a yard.
Hey nickel
$12 a yard
or hey penny
for design fabric. We can go up to $148 a yard at our shop. That's the most. Some shops, this would be considered medium range. Some shops go up to $400. This is not a shop. This would be a designer fabric. Who could pay that? A very small segment of the population. So you're giving estimates, if you're in a retail shop, Mona, you're giving estimates to the general public. Just erase my board again. How do I know so much about this? I never went to school for this, but I know my customers. Let's draw a pie. Okay? So let's just divide it in half first. Lower income. At my pricing, where I'm about middle to high, a lot of times that middle to high pricing reflects directly on income, what people have for income. I would say I get 0 from this group. Okay, this is a group of people, let's say, that's 0. Okay, I'm gonna divide this in half again. I'm just gonna try to keep this simple. And this is all tied into labor and fabric, you guys. I would say this is mid income, okay? I would say I only get about 25% of the jobs that I write on in this group. And there's a lot of work associated with this group. A lot of hand-holding, a lot of personality. People have to like you. They're going back to a significant other. They're usually dragging their feet or just against doing it. So a lot, you have to really throw out the value of who you are and what you're doing and the value of the furniture. And you have to be honest, is the furniture worth it? You'd be surprised how many times I say, in this case, the furniture might not be worth it, okay? Because you're gonna see a lot more of that furniture in this income, but definitely in the lower income, but the mid-income, sometimes you'll see that furniture that isn't worth it. Listen guys, even though you might not have any work, but it's not worth doing an IKEA furniture or something with zigzag springs that are pulling the front real crooked. It's not worth it if it's gonna come back to haunt you, so don't do it. Or if you're gonna do it, sometimes clients will say, just do it. Try to upgrade it if you can. We could do that too. We could take the zigzag springs out and put webbing in there instead, because you don't want the zigzag things to pull, and then a week later after you do it, which would be your luck, the whole thing would fall apart. Okay, so now we got I'm gonna break this up into a slice of pie. This is about 1 to 2% of buyers, okay, in this group. And the rest of the group here is high income. I do better here. I do about 50% of my sales, okay? In this group, I very rarely see them, very rare. And I'm very rare that I even see these people. These people are using designers. And they have no restrictions on cost, on dollars. The sky's the limit. So what does that mean? There are some upholsterers who strictly work with designers who get more than I do with my retail customers. And the designers are very happy. This is a very select group of upholsterers, very select group of upholsterers. I was in this game for a little while. I particularly didn't like it, and one of the reasons I don't like it is because you have to deal with two customers. You have to deal with the designer and their customer. There's two people you gotta keep happy. That was one of the problems. And it really is hard work, because you have to be even more attentive to make sure, because even though there's no restrictions on the doll, these people really, their attention to detail and their tastes are such, they're refined, that they're gonna pick up on everything. It's a very rare. The bad thing for me and you, if you're not in that area, is that you're not seeing the very, very wealthy. So you really are you're really kind of where I was on my other where I was showing you on pricing. You can't get $4,000 labor for a sofa with all this. You could in this group, but it's only 1 to 2% of the population anyhow. In my opinion, you do much better off trying to deal with this part of the population, even the lower income, which most upholsterers fall in anyhow, let's be honest. So, how do you get more? How do you get the bulk? This is the bulk of us right here. This is us. This is upholsterers. This is painters. This is us in here. How do you get them? I'll tell you. We talked about this. I don't really have to do this right now, but if you're just starting out in business, do more repair work. Blair's brilliant. He's done a little interview with us. Repair work is wonderful. It can really get you, and you can advertise yourself as this in this group. What does that mean in upholstery? That means cushions, right? That means fixing zigzag springs like I just talked about. That means fixing rips. That could mean using outside back on the fabric to repair cat damage and things like that. I'll tell you something. You got a van. You got minimum tools. You got a good scheduling. You got a good invoice system. This will keep you busy if you just advertise this, and then you could kind of, Mona, you're already at this upholstery stage, but then you could kind of slide into the upholstery part of things and getting into more of this. You're going to pick up some of this business anyhow, but then you could start developing this is for people just starting out, a great customer base. And this is where, if you're good and savvy with your technology, comes in. I don't rely on technology too much. I leave it to these guys, but don't rely on technology solely. Have your handwritten stuff. But at some point, keeping a customer list certainly is a good idea on the computer. So, and I think some of this contact that we use to advertise does work. But I guess that's it. Is there any questions, Patrick?
Pam just uploaded something to the forum.
Oh, good. We'll finish up over here, okay?
Sounds good. Here you go.
Guys, if you're wondering, he's talking so fast, right?
I'm wondering.
Because I have to get the information out. Getting the information in such a short amount of time. I really want to try to help people. I did want to mention something to follow up on. So, you're a good upholsterer. You've been doing it for a long time. You're fantastic. You got all your skill behind you, and you're really good. Presentation. Oh my goodness, is this so important? I don't care if you're the Superman of upholsterers. If you don't have presentation, you look like you're a first-year hack. So what does that mean? Okay, these guys will tell you. I have a sofa that I just did, a beautiful camelback sofa. I had it up on the bench. I hand cleaned this. What does that mean? I don't take the blower from the machine. I take a whisk broom. I could do that. I could do both of those things. But after I do that, I run my hand along the entire sofa. Every square inch gets it, because you don't want to miss a staple or a loose stitch or anything like that. And you'd be surprised. That hand check, you do it very carefully to make sure. You'd be surprised how many staples you might pick up, or tack, or whatever. I'll tell you, from a customer's perspective, I don't care how good you are, if you've left a tack or a staple exposed like that, it kind of kills your whole, image, really. It doesn't take much time to do this, and it really is part of the pride part of the whole thing. You're proud of your work. You want to make sure that it's clean before the customer gets it. Go over the whole thing. Make sure that the legs didn't get nicked up while you were doing the thing, and if it did, touch it up at that point. And then take a beautiful piece of plastic, not a used piece of plastic. Believe me, if you've got a used piece of plastic and you somehow got it smudged with the marker or an oil stain from the street or whatever, you're going to have it on you. Always make sure you have a clean, see-through piece of plastic, and then tape. I've got it all taped around the leg so that when the customer takes it or we deliver it, the wind doesn't blow it off. You'd be surprised how stupid you can look when a piece of plastic floats off the chair. But it's all about packaging, really, right? Patrick knows a little bit about packaging.
Yeah.
Packaging. And they're taking your cushions and packing those separate with the nice piece of plastic.
You try to get every little piece of fluff off and everything.
Everything. and then the delivery, you have to deliver it and get it inside the house safely, undo the plastic, set it up, and then you're done. Okay? So I just wanted to mention that. Pam had something, this is great, this is like real time Facebook. We don't usually get a lot of those. Bad.
No, Pam's usually the one that does that.
I have a question for Kevin about what kind of cushion to cut for the seat of this chair. I'm replacing all the press cane around the sides and the backs. Don't have a cushion with it when I got it, but originally probably did have one. Would you cut a T cushion for this to go out to the edge of the arms? Yeah, she's got it. Let me just show you guys what she's talking about. Unfortunately, if Pam is still watching, can she get me some measurements on this? Can you get me some measurements on that, what the T would be? Sometimes when I do window seats, if it's a 1-inch T, it's not worth it. It looks worse cutting out, and let me put it this way. If it's an inch T, it's not worth it. It looks worse trying to cut it out. It's tough because we deal in 1/2-inch seams, right, guys? We're not tailoring a suit to a body, and we're not using smaller seams like a tailor does. We're using 1/2-inch seams. So I need to know, it would be nice to know that. I guess that's tied into my answer.
So in the meantime, Malcolm asked, do you ever use moving company for larger pieces?
I try not to. You hire a moving company and they're not gonna take care of your furniture. I've had moving companies lose cushions. I've been moving company, we just did a video, Patrick, right? Moving damage video.
Yeah.
They're not as knowledgeable. Is this Malcolm?
Yeah.
Malcolm.
He just joined the Facebook forum too. So.
Thank you, Malcolm. He just joined?
Yes.
So Malcolm, are you aware, let's just finish up with Pam's and remind me to finish up with Malcolm on the board, Patrick, because this would be really interesting.
Okay.
It's about delivering your own furniture. Do not hire a mover. Do it yourself, Malcolm. Get a trusted friend to help you. Jimmy helps us out a lot when Patrick's not available, and Patrick's really good at lifting furniture. I've trained him well. Jimmy is good too. So they're both good on the other end, and that's important too. I mean, you got to make sure the person on the other end of a big project is able to do it. Is not right. So picking up a piece of furniture is different than delivering it too. Picking up a piece of furniture, you can drag it, you can hit it, it doesn't matter. But delivering it's a whole different thing. So just to follow up with Pam, the other thing I wanted to make sure that the height is at least on these side chairs, maybe 16, 17 inches, 16 at the low end from the bottom to the top. That's what's going to determine your boxing. So if you got a 13-inch top to bottom, you want at least a 3-inch cushion. To me, the scale on this, without knowing that, would be 3-inch boxing, okay? And here's the answer to her question. If that's 2 inches from the arm out, tee it. If it's less than an inch, don't. Make it straight, come out straight. That's the answer. So let's get to Malcolm. Let's go over to our board. Boy, we're really active on the board today. Not bad.
Oh.
We should do more of this.
Yeah, cool.
Sorry, you guys, if I'm going too fast. I'm really motivated today. So let's say you have a sofa. Let's say you hire the moving company. Let's say you have a 3-cushion sofa. I bet Michaela could do a better job. Michaela's going to laugh when she sees this. Michaela, don't laugh. Okay. And say it's rollover arms. Yeah, that's not bad.
What the heck is that thing?
Oh, I thought I was doing pretty good. This is a buttonless thing over here. Oh well, maybe the children should go to the other room. What am I doing? No, it's a rollover arm with a button, you guys. Shame on you thinking it's anything else, Patrick. And then you have buttons. Well, the color of my marker today doesn't help either, And so let's say these are Chippendale legs. Okay. You just did a beautiful job on this. Let's just say that this is tufted too. You did a beautiful job. You're proud of your work. Malcolm, you did an awesome job on this. Let's just do this, Oh, this is terrible. Michaela could have done such a better job, but she would have been up here all day, right, Michaela? Maybe not. I don't know. All right. So Malcolm just finished this. He spent 50 hours upholstering this. What's 50 times 80 is? What?
50 times 80 is 4,000.
Pam says 3 inches from the front to the arm, dude.
Oh, that's a T. That's a T. T question. So he just he got $4,000. He's proud of that, and he got fabric, beautiful velvet, and that was another 20 yards at $88. How much is that? 88 times 20.
88 times 20. 1,760.
So $5,700. So Malcolm's going to call up his moving company and say, "Come and get it and deliver it for me." So the two guys show up. They're nice young men, but you know they're in a hurry. They're in a hurry. So and they don't know that they're inexperienced. They don't know that there are. Believe it or not, you guys might not believe this. I have to count myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. At least 8 ways that it goes through your front door, through the door, okay? So one way is the way you see it, up front. The other way is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 4. 5, 6, 7, 8 with one arm, and then the other one it's 8. And then up on its 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 ways. The sofa, it's just started its journey. The first step, the first hurdle is through your front door. There are 16 ways it can go through your front door. So let's see, Max and Peter, good college guys. They're actually going to college for geometry. I'm not even spelling it right, I know. Geometry and math. They're geniuses. Do they know which way, just by looking at this, of the 16 ways, that's going to go through your front door? Come on, Malcolm. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to know. So they're going to pick it up, and they're going to pick it up with the cushions, by the way, but you should have boxed the cushions and should have those separate. The danger of that is the cushions could end up in Indiana, and your sofa could end up in Boston where it was supposed to go. Okay, that's the problem with that. So when you hire a mover, you have to make sure you package it with the cushions in, which I never like to do because you take options away when it's time to go through doorways and the like, right? You can see there's already a lot of problems with this. So the chances that they're going to pick the correct way, which is, by the way, usually on an arm, usually with the arm being able to go through the door first without interfering with the door. Do you know what I mean? So that's one way. That's the common way. There is one common way that the sofa goes out, one way. But how do they know of the 16? Were they trained properly? Are they upholsterers? Upholsterers, believe me, upholsterers have a keen sense of how to deliver their furniture because they're really good at this three-dimensional art form that they have. So they're going to know almost instinctively. I know instinctively how something comes in and out. So I know. I always deliver my furniture, Malcolm. I never hire a moving company. I guess that's the bottom line. Did you know that there were 16? Correct me if I'm wrong about that 16 ways. There's 16 ways to deliver a sofa. It sounds like a song, right? All right, I'm done. I had enough fun. I want to challenge you guys to come up. The challenge that I have, let's erase this for my upholstery community. Come on, you guys. I know I have some smart folk out there. I know. I probably have a couple of mathematicians out there. Give me the 16 ways. Correct me if I'm wrong. Give me the 16 ways of a sofa going through a door.
Marcos, it sounds like there are 15 ways to do it wrong.
15 ways. There are 15 ways to do it wrong. I hope I convinced Malcolm to deliver his own furniture because it can really be a nightmare. Okay, Michaela, are you ready?
Let me update you with Pam some more. It's 1.5 inches wide and 12.5 inch seat height.
What's 1.5 inches wide?
She said 3 inches from the front of the arm, 1.5 inches wide, and 12.5 inches seat height.
So she's talking. So the other factor that she has, as far as so first of all, definitely tee that, definitely tee the cushion. The other, how high is it from there right now, Patrick? What was the height again?
3 inches from the front to the arm, or do you? 12.5 inch seat height.
Let's just go with the padding. It's going to finish 13. 13 inches plus 3. She can't do a 4-inch cushion on this. They're dainty looking soft side chairs. So the right answer is 3-inch. 3-inch box cushion, ideally with piping. No more than that, no less than that. 3 inches is perfect. Okay? So now, are you ready, Michaela? Are there any other comments, questions, or answers to my puzzle?
Nope.
The 16 ways to leave your lover. That's the song I was thinking of, only it's not 16. Maybe somebody could tell me the song.
I think it's 50.
50.
Yeah.
Well, there's 50 ways there. There's only 16 for a sofa. But think about it. If you're doing the wrong, if you're selecting the wrong ways of doing it, every time you put a sofa on it that's been upholstered in a beautiful fabric, even if it's covered, you turn it on its end, that's the wrong way. Okay, you got to turn it on its other end, that's the wrong way. Okay, you got to turn it on its back, that's the wrong way. It still doesn't go through. By the time you get into you might go through all 15 till you get to the right thing, and how much damage are you going to cause there? Right? Am I overthinking this? Maybe somebody should tell me if I'm overthinking this. But we've all had experiences. I'll tell you something that happened to me. I had a friend who called me to help me with the sofa. And he called another friend who was a 400-pound guy. He was really heavy. He was really a big dude. I think he was a professional wrestler, Patrick, right? This was somebody you know. Not the professional wrestler, but the guy I was helping. I was always the one to get a call because I had the van, right? Everybody called me when they needed to be moved. But anyhow, I came down the street to help him move the sofa, just in time to see his 400-pound friend take a running start. They were moving in. A running start at a sofa that had been wedged in the door to push it through the door, Patrick.
What?
A running start. and the funny thing about that is the sofa was pointed with the seat down, you know. So if there were clinches in there, he was going to get.
Jeez.
And I tried to yell stop, but it was too late.
Did he die?
He crashed through He crashed it through. He tore off the frame of the frame of the door and everything. It was a sight to behold, I tell you. So yeah, you guys have to be careful. If you're going to do a beautiful job, a $6,000 job on a sofa, of course you want to deliver it yourself. Of course. Okay, so let's get to the...
You know, we're an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, let's get to her segment because everybody likes Michaela's segment. You ready, Michaela?
Yep, so...
The camera
Hold on
probably
a second,
should
get
be...
the microphone. Okay. There you go.
Did we get that call from our customer? Michaela?
Nope.
She
alright.
did give a thumbs up, though.
So the first one is that first email. We've already answered this. Or actually, no, we haven't answered this as far as giving an estimate, but it's that first email.
Karen?
Yeah, Karen. I have 2 chairs I would like reupholstered. I already purchased the fabric. For some reason, I'm having technical difficulty uploading the picture of the chair. I'm going to be in the area tomorrow. I would like to know if I may bring in the chairs. Looking forward to hearing from you. I did already answer first And I said, "Hi Karen, sure you may bring them in. I just wanted to let you know, however, that our policy is for customers to purchase our fabric because we sell our own. Alternatively, there will be a 25% upcharge on the labor price for your own fabric."
So I did answer her in a text because she also texted me. So she was a customer that appeared to be, well, she, she didn't call before she got her fabric, first of all. So but she was a customer ready for the job, you know. So the temptation here is to say, okay, bring it in and not upcharge, because we've talked about this. Other upholsterers are upcharging labor. You have to, you know, meet your pricing. I think you might want to turn the camera. So you have to.
Oops. Too busy here on the
You
Upholstery on Broadway official Instagram.
You have to make up the money from the lost fabric sale. So I answered her. I said $1,100, and I said 25%. I figured out the total for her, and guess what? All of a sudden she says, "Well, I have to think about it." So there's an example of somebody not on her part that she's mean. She's not doing it to be mean, but that's somebody we try to hold people off from bringing furniture like this, right, Michaela? This is a nightmare. I have my furniture, I have my fabric, it's in my car, I want to drop it off. Well, wait a minute, I'm limited in space, first of all. I said, secondly, I don't even know if this is a job. You're gonna waste your own time coming in here, so that they're missing information like on the price of the furniture. You know, some people are thinking in that mode, that old-fashioned mode. We can't do that. We need to fend off time that's probably going to be wasted. Already, we've wasted time here, right? Mm-hmm. So there was an email. She called me twice today, leaving messages I couldn't answer, and then we were texting each other. So there's time already wasted, and now we might not get the job. I mean, this drives me nuts, you know. Mm-hmm. But hopefully she'll change her mind. I did tell her I needed a deposit, 50% deposit. So there was an upcharge of 25% and a 50% deposit. All bad news from a consumer standpoint, who's probably used to using upholsterers that may be more desperate than I am. I mean, we are looking for more work, but you know, we don't want to take more work on and then not be able to make a living. Okay, so if they can't understand that, that's fine. So that's where that job is now. What's the next one? Sorry, guys. I am really wired today because I just, you know, sometimes I hate to see people struggle, and I've heard about people struggling in this business. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling to get more of a client base. I'd like to offer what we've done. It's taken a long time, right, Pat? It's taken a long time to get us to a point where we can get what we really deserve, close to it. I wouldn't say we're there yet. Right, Pat?
No. We have a lot to do.
We have a lot to do. We have a great Yelp rating. We work very hard for that. We're good. We do community things. The YouTube is our broader community service that we do. So do we have to do local community service? We used to, but we haven't done that in a while. What does that mean? Online classes. I mean, in-house classes. That was kind of a community thing, Patrick. And we've started that again.
So we're back to that.
But we don't know if we're going to be able to fill a class yet. Okay, so we've got 2 weeks into that, and so far, right?
That's still 2 months away.
Right, but you don't know how people's attitudes will be about getting back together again in small space. But anyhow, what's the next one?
All right, the next one is more of a question.
Do we talk about these first, Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Kevin can give me some advice on something. I'm about to start working on 3 different chairs for my shop, toe single-seaters and a tub chair, and I'm really struggling picking my colors for the fabrics. Should I pay attention to what colors are the ones that are in fashion according to the interior designers, or should I go what I think will look best?
Oh, so Lucas is the upholsterer and the designer. He doesn't have a Michaela with him, right? See, one of the advantages we have at Upholstery on Broadway in Arlington, Massachusetts, is that we have a very talented young lady named Michaela who is a graduate of Mass Art and who is really good at selecting fabric. I know I'm embarrassing her a little bit, maybe. Am I embarrassing you, Michaela? But it's true.
This is very embarrassing.
I don't think Michaela realizes what her potential is and how good she is, but she's good. And But Lucas doesn't have that. So Lucas, you're like me before Michaela. So when I was by myself. So this is what I do. I'm not sure if he's working with a customer though. Is it, what's this furniture for? I assume it's for a customer, right?
I'm not sure, he didn't mention.
He's working with the customer directly. Okay, that makes a difference.
She says, all he says, I'm about to start working on 3 different chairs for my shop.
3 different chairs, but for the same customer?
No, he didn't mention that.
He needs to get back to us, and I need to answer him. I need is it for a customer? Is the customer knowledgeable? Is it for a designer who should be doing this, she should be doing this, not him? How much input does the customer have? There's a lot of other questions I needed to ask him. Are they all going in the same room, right, Michaela? Are they, he gave the description of each one, but are they going in the same room? All that stuff, right? Hopefully he'll get back to you. Meanwhile, Michaela's gonna ask me another question, yeah.
Alright, so this one's more of a question. I starred this one. It's the green circle, Marianne.
The green circle. Yeah, okay, what is it?
Hi, I enjoy watching your videos and wish I was in Massachusetts to take your classes. I have been trying to figure out how to upholster the back and seat of my kitchen chairs because they take so much abuse that the wood finish has been beaten up. Can you tell me if you have or can do a show on how to cover a kitchen chair like this? Thank you for sharing your incredible talent with us.
Well, thanks for the compliment. Let me look at the chair.
So this is just a wooden chair.
Well, so first off, I don't like covering over wood finished chairs. I like to, if you can get away with not doing it. Like a lot of times on caning, people have gone through 3 or 4 canings in a short amount of time on a seat, and then they really want to just not be bothered with the caning. And a lot of these chairs are antique chairs too, so I mean, I don't like doing it, but sometimes it's the only solution because caning has become a problem. There's not many people doing it anymore. I mean, the proper caning. So we will upholster an antique chair sometimes with padding, but when I do that, I do it very minimally. Okay, so usually it's just a row of staples along the top, some padding. I won't go through all the padding that I do, and a piece of gimp, very low profile, but and with the webbing, with the hard webbing, to start out with, which fixes the problem indefinitely. That said, on this one here, it's a good question. I think you would be better off in this case to slip cover it. That's, how many does she have? Does she mention how many she had? Yeah, I think she's better off.
I would just, it doesn't mention a number, but just a regular, probably kitchen set.
I think a slip cover, just say, I think you would be better off slip covering this. And that's it, because she's not looking for an estimate, she's a do-it-yourselfer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Laura Fry got back to you too, by the way. You saw that, right?
Yes.
I just want to mention something here that Hannah said about, it says a place called Funky Little Chair, a shop out in Minnesota that she said just went out of business, apparently, because the lack of support from companies and other resources and education is not being supported for upholsterers. And most can't keep up with the work because no one is trained these days.
Yeah, we're having problems in the industry. A lot of our workforce was older, and sadly, I could speak for the Boston area. We've lost some. They were older, so they're no longer with us, which is a shame. I love competition. I love that generation that was about 20 years over me. Don't put them in their 80s. Oh my God, getting up there myself. But we're so talented. The talent, real talents. You wish you had them in a YouTube video, you guys. They were talents. We're losing them. So there's the people in my age group, and then there's people younger than me who haven't really achieved. If they're 20 years younger than me, they've only been doing it 20, 25 years like like our friend who earlier contacted us. So they still have a ways to go to get to that, what I was talking about when I was doing my invoice over there. Is to get to that 40-year, that 30 to 40-year experience. That's where talent and ease and all that comes into play. And then you, how much of a window do you have after that where you're performing? You know, it's probably, if you're lucky, if you're in good health, you go up to 74, 80. A lot of the upholsterers, when I first started working back in the 70s, they were in their 80s, and they were happy. This can be a very happy trade, you guys. I mean, I don't want it to make. I really poured it on today. I don't want to make it look like it's too hard, because it's not. I think it can be a fun trade, but it's not fun when you lose fabric, you don't write all the information down. And I know I'm going backwards here into this show, and this is a long show, I know. It doesn't get fun when you have those type of problems. So try to avoid those problems. Try to have a smoothly run shop. Know which jobs you don't want to take. That's really important. Don't take every job because you need the dough, whatever. Some jobs will cost you money, and get to know what those are. Hopefully you'll be watching me long enough, you know what those type of jobs are. But anyhow, do you have another one, Michaela, or is that it?
Yeah. So this one's from July 23rd. I started.
Okay, I got that. What's that one?
It's Cindy.
Okay, you want to read that?
Just says wing chair reupholster in deep purple velvet.
So we answered her 1,108 yards.
Yeah.
So guys, we a lot of times will leave out at this point, short and sweet, right?
Yeah.
I could smell an inquiry. I could smell just a regular inquiry, which this is, because of the lack of detail that's in here, right?
Yeah.
You smell them out too, right,
lack
Michaela?
of effort, yeah.
So why should you spend 10 minutes answering her about fabrics? Like, notice we're only going to give the yardage amount, right? That's it. So if she's a serious person, she's going to ask how much the fabric is, and then you can get into that conversation, right?
Yep.
But that was the 23rd. What's today?
Today is the 25th.
So 2 days go by, and the follow-up question isn't there. So it's just a. We get a lot of these. We're not unhappy with this, right, Patrick?
No.
The more we'll get 100 inquiries a day. That's fine, right?
Exactly.
But we can't spend a lot of time on. So we give short answers in the beginning and something like this, right? Okay. Hopefully all this will help you guys. Come on, you get yourself. You don't want to be spending too much time on your computer and your text. And see this? This is, sorry about the noise, Patrick. This is where the bench is where you make your money.
Your leg fell over.
I know, I hit it so hard. But you need to make sure that you're on your bench. Your bench is where you make your money. You can't be too far doing other things. That's why I don't like doing polish. Patrick, I remember when you first came on board, right? You wanted to polish me up with all those invoices. Do you remember? You don't remember that, do you?
No, it's just an idea.
It's a good idea if you're I don't know, if you're a lawyer. You need to have all those documents and polished up. But when you're an upholsterer and you're flying by the seat of your pants, and you can't spend too much time away from your bench, right?
Yep.
What's the next one, Michaela?
The next one is the email right underneath it. It's from Nora.
Is she the explorer?
Yeah,
that's
Dora.
Dora.
Oh my God.
Well, we have to have at least one corny joke, right, guys?
Yeah, you gotta fill in for Jimmy.
Jimmy's not here. He usually is good for at least 3 or 4.
So I guess she tried to send in a contact form, but the photos were not included. So she sent an email instead. It said there are 2 chairs she wants reupholstered, and pictures are attached. Chairs are in good shape, just needs to be recovered.
So this is a good string, and I think people should see what we've done here. So who was that?
Nora.
So we gave her an estimate back, which I can't see for some reason.
Yep, the estimate was 1,108 yards, and there are photos included if you want to show.
then she quickly, that was, what date was that? July
That was the
22nd
22nd.
at 2:39,
Yep, she replied on the 23rd.
the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you read what she says?
She said, does this include pickup and delivery to Lexington? Any other charges?
And then I say,
I
or,
will give you free pickup and delivery, no other charges, except of course fabric, which we supply, here today for fabric selection.
so tell me where you think she is in her decision. Is she gonna be a customer?
Well, let's see, it's been 2 days, she hasn't responded.
Right.
I don't know, maybe,
It's a 50% chance, right?
yeah.
So what I never do, what we never do, and, you know, we never, very rarely, I think, Michaela, do I follow up on a email like this. I leave it like that. That's it. Now, is that right? Is that the right thing to do? It's part of my not wanting to spend too much wasting time. So if she's not called back or inquired back what's happening, I can guarantee you with what I see in the gaps, like they're not too long of gaps, but I can guarantee you that she's getting 3 other estimates, and she's dealing with. I know it. I can just smell it. She's dealing with a string of emails from other upholsterers, and she's looking, and she's probably hey, this is what we're dealing with today. And I think everybody does their research, right? You guys, if you can get through the criteria of somebody like this who's doing research and getting estimates, and not necessarily looking for the cheapest estimate. She's looking for the most timely responses. She's looking for the politeness, even in an email. Michaela's very polite the way she writes emails. You have to be. I can be short, what appears to be short, but she's not. So I would say another day goes by. She's either going to 50% chance use us or not, based on what we just did, the work that we just did, right? It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting, the whole thing. What's the next one? Is there a next one?
Yes, there's one more, and it is from July 19th. I gave it a star as well.
July 19th.
This one's interesting.
Okay.
It's from Hallie.
Yeah, this was an interesting one.
So they say, so this is short and sweet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bed upholstery, bench upholstery, and a chair upholstery. That's it.
No nonsense, just straight out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they gave the wrong phone number, I guess, so they sent in another one with just the phone number.
That's a good sign. And what's
okay.
the estimate I
And
gave?
you replied, the chair is 1,200 plus 8 yards. Bed headboard and footboard, 2,600 plus 12 yards. And the bench, 325 and 2 yards.
So, were you wondering why I gave an estimate on the bed?
Yeah.
So, we usually stay away from beds because they can be a problem with setup. We didn't get this far with this customer yet, but the reason obviously I can do it if I have to. The reason I did do it is because she had a chair and a bench too, so it's part of her job. So that was the reasoning there. And there's yardage involved in that, good yardage involved in that. That was another reason. And the third reason is we could use the work. So, yeah, I can, unlike big company, right, Patrick? We could turn on a dime. You know what that means, turning on a dime? We could turn on a dime because we're a small business. So if we're having a slow summer, we can take on other jobs or estimate things to tweak them, like offering free pickup, as long as it's in my, remember we talked earlier about my travels when I leave the shop. As long as I'm not going too far out of my way, how is it going to hurt me to have a free pickup? So that is a real motivator for a lot of people, because if they're getting other estimates, they're getting $125 or $150 for pickup and deliveries. If they're that close to deciding, they might use you because of that. So is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Something Malcolm said, do you use an intake form to get customers organized with giving you information so you can make an accurate estimate?
Say that again?
An intake form.
This is my intake form, Malcolm. This is it. So it's a generic. I get it at CVS. I handwrite. There's a carbon copy, and this is what this does is real time when I'm talking to somebody. Real time, put everything down, all the information down here. I'm not sure what he means by an intake. If he's thinking a form that he has, I stay away from forms that are already made up with, right? Michaela's shaking her head, yeah, because she's seen, Michaela's getting really good at filling these out too. Just putting all the information down when you're talking to somebody, because people change their mind even when you're talking to them, right, Michaela? They'll change their mind. You have to cross something out while you're talking to them. But once everything's written down, I go over it again. So let's review, and then I'll go over the whole thing before they leave, and then I give them a copy. So there's no way I can mess up. So we've gone way over time, haven't we, Patrick?
Yeah, it's an hour and 30.
Well, that's very rare for us, but I figured. I didn't think we were going to have more than an hour today, or I thought we were going to be less than an hour.
It was a very informative episode.
Timmy wasn't
for
here,
sure.
but anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed talking to you about the industry, about the trade, and I wish you great success. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.